Welcome back to Team Guides, where we take each team for MCC and see if they have a path to dodge bolt. We simulated every possible game order using averages, and we'll be showing how each team placed. This is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, be sure to check that out first. With that out of the way, onto the stats. Teal Turkeys. The Teal Turkeys were the first team announced on day 2, and it saw the return of the Tommy and Philza duo. While this duo hasn't been too successful recently, this might be their chance to show MCC how strong they can be. Sneaksnag is also reunited with Phil for their redemption after an unfortunate event in MCC 17, but this time with more experience under his belt and a 12th place performance in MCC 18. And finally, we have the absolute monster that is Sapnap, who's proven in Season 2 that he's one of the best. Sapnap will try his best to lead this team to victory, and he'll have a great time doing it. This team is quite dependent on Phil to do well. He's the most inconsistent player in the event, with placements ranging from 2nd in MCC 12 to 38th in MCC 17. Ever since the removal of Rocket Spleef, Phil hasn't had many good performances. He particularly struggles in PvP games, but he has still managed to do great in movement games in some Season 2 MCCs. In All-Stars, he was able to get 16th on a 6th place team, so this might be his chance to return to his former glory. This team is also very scary in PvP games, with arguably the top PvPer in the event being Sapnap. Sapnap is used to leading teams, and Tommy and Phil don't usually have a chance to shine when they try to lead teams. This means that they could possibly relax a bit more and not have to worry as much about keeping the whole team together. This team is the best in the event at all 3 PvP games, so it's up to the Turkeys to prove the stats right. If the Turkeys want to maximise their chances at dodge bolt, then they should get to work on their communication. While they excel at PvP and movement, the 3 team games are their worst, being 8th best at Build Mart and 9th best at Santa Time. Sneak, Tommy and Phil have all not had the best time in the dungeon this season, with all 3 of them being locked out once. MCC 17 was especially tragic for Sneak and Phil, as their whole team got locked out after opening 3 vaults. One thing to keep in mind for Build Mart, however, is that Sapnap had an incredible run in MCC 18, and being trained by Scott might improve his scores and leadership for MCC 19. Teal is one of the strongest teams in the event, getting first almost 90% of the time, and into dodge bolts 99.9% of the time. If they can avoid getting team gains late, they are in with a very good shot at getting to dodge bolt. There are only about 50 out of 45,000 game orders where they don't get to dodge bolt, and those game orders have team games last. If they can avoid that, Teal are definitely a favourite to win. Cerulean Candy Canes. The Cerulean Candy Canes see the return of Rocky, being his first canon event since MCC 12. Joining him is Fruitberries, a powerful player who got 2nd last December and will help lead this team, and it's especially important as 2 of the members are very new to MCC, with this being Sam and Gumi's 2nd and 3rd MCCs respectively. Because of this, the stats might not show their full potential, but we've definitely seen glimpses of that potential already. Fruitberries thrives in PvP and movement games, averaging the 3rd best PvP scores and the 2nd best movement scores across the entire event. Unfortunately, Fruit isn't quite unbeatable, as he isn't as good at team games that involve heavy communication, although still being above average at them. Fruit can be inconsistent at times, especially with some particular games like SG, but he's usually able to get himself a high individual placement as well as helping to boost up the team score as a result. Despite being quite an individual player himself, there's no doubt that his presence on the team helps everyone around him. Rocky is very consistent, with no game being greater than 50 coins outside his personal average. As a jack of all trades, Ryguy can help to pull this team together and be a positive force, as well as a powerful individual in his own right. This team is quite statistically underrated due to Sam and Gumi being relatively new players, so while the averages say that this team isn't great at parkour tag and hole in the wall, these are 2 games that depend heavily on having played it before and map knowledge. Aside from those 2, the other game Cerulean really does well at is grid runners, thanks to great scores by Gumi and Sam. This team's success hinges on their communication and chemistry. They may just be able to surprise everyone and make it to dodge bolt. According to the averages, Cerulean are most likely to come in 7th, but could place as high as 6th, and to get there they should try and aim to get team games played last, with PvP games in the middle. However, the fact that Sam and Gumi will most likely improve from their previous events due to more experience, practice, and perhaps a little bit of motivation from their teammates, this team could jump up some spots and possibly get into dodge bolt. Sapphire Santas. The Simmers return. After going competitive in MCC 17, Zeus and Sasha are reunited with Gluon and James to form the lovable Sapphire Santas, also known as the Simmers. When paired with Fruit Ninja in MCC 17, Zeus and Sasha were able to both get into the top 30, so maybe it is possible that the Simmers can get hashtag not last. Let's look at what their optimal game order looks like in order to maximise that possibility. The Simmers' best game is Hole in the Wall, perhaps helped out by some Australian internet. Everyone scores above their average in this game, with James Turner having this as his best game. If they want to get not last, this is definitely a game to aim for later. In MCC 16, the last time the full Simmers team played, the one game they were able to get 9th in was Sands of Time. If Sands of Time gets played late, as long as the Simmers play solidly and make sure to keep their timer filled and clear out any easy areas, they might end up placing high in the game due to not getting locked out when other teams might. Sands of Time gives a lot of coins too, so having that edge over players who get locked out could be the difference between them getting not last or having to wait another day. And of course, we couldn't mention the Simmers without talking about their signature game, Battle Box. The Simmers have mastered the art of wall rushing, getting 3rd in MCC 7 and 7th in MCC 10. However, they weren't as fortunate in MCC 13 due to the map making it difficult to wall rush, and with MCC 19 being another Christmas themed MCC, Santa's Sleigh, the same map, will be played again. While the stats say the Simmers can only get 10th, we believe that they can come not last for the first time since MCC 10. With games like Battle Box and Hole in the Wall late, they might be able to pull a surprise comeback. No matter what though, you can bet that this POV will be a lot of fun. The Purple Penguins. On the penultimate MCC 19 team, the Purple Penguins, we have Tapel, one of the best movement and PvP players in the event. He's followed up by CPK, an interesting duo that we've only seen once before, all the way back in MCC 9. Next up is Wisp, who after his last couple of disappointing team placements is looking to redeem himself. Finally, we have MiChu, one of the best support players you could ask for in MCC. Their team dynamic should be very interesting, as there's only been one instance of these players teaming up before, Tapel and CPK. In addition to their synergy, none of these players do particularly well in team games such as Build Mart or Grid Runners save MiChu. That's one thing they'll definitely want to try and improve on before Saturday. Another variable in Purple's performance is actually Tapel. He's a more inconsistent player, with his individual placements racing from top 3 all the way down to low teens and even 20th. Looking at Season 2 MCCs alone, he's ranged from 2nd to 18th. So one of the big things for Purple is going to be how well Tapel can do on the day of MCC. Luckily for them, his highest placement and individual coins ever was on a similar team to this, the MCC 15 Pink Parrots. In it, Tapel was allowed to be the leader, with 3 good support players behind him. Similarly, in the Purple Penguins, Tapel is once again leader, while CBK, Wisp and Nikki can all be excellent supports for him. Finally, looking at their placement distributions, they come anywhere between 6th place and 9th place, with a majority of the game orders putting them in 8th. However, if we see team games played early and Tapel being a great leader, with the other 3 all performing to their best, I think we could see Purple easily get into the top half, and maybe into Dodgebolt. The Pink Presents. And for the final team this MCC, the Pink Presents see the return of a trio from MCC 17 Yellow Yaks, Wilbur, Shovel and Scott, along with a good friend of theirs, Jack Manifold. This group has frequently played other games together before, so their team chemistry and comms will be amazing. As a result, they'll be able to do very well in team games, but they'll also be able to score very decently in the rest as well. This team is one of the most consistent in the event in terms of scores, meaning that they're a good all-rounder team, able to do well in almost every game. Thus, having a certain game order isn't as important. Instead, being able to do well and pop off in games chosen later on is what's important. That doesn't mean game order doesn't matter. Grid Runners and Build Mart are games they'll very easily be able to do well compared to others in, so Pink will want those later on. But since they can do decently in almost every game, they can instead match their skills to a game order rather than matching the game order to their skills. So instead of having to vote strictly to a set order and to do well, Pink can play more to what they enjoy and take it one game at a time. However consistent they may be, there still have to be some games that aren't too good for them. Battle Box and Sky Battle are a couple of those, so Pink will want to try and avoid PvP if they can. These are 2 of Shelby's worst games, and Jack's Battle Box score is also his worst. Outside of those 2, Pink finishes around the middle of the pack for the movement games. With Ace Race being removed from this MCC, one of their worst games is out of the way, and the path to Dodgebolt has never been clearer. Now onto the distributions. Pink come anywhere from 5th to 8th, with 6th place taking up almost 75% of that. The game orders that put them into the top half are the ones favourable to Pink, with their best team games last and their worst games first. With that and a couple pop-offs, Pink might enter the top half and possibly Dodgebolt. And with that, we've completed team guides for MCC 19. This is sure to be an unpredictable event, but however it turns out, it's sure to be exciting. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.